Hi everyone, my name is Kartik and my channel is about mental models. In this video I will be talking about the self-serving bias, which is the 6th video in my cognitive bias mini-series. Self-serving bias is an umbrella term for a range of biases which tend to give people inflated perceptions of themselves. And the danger is that this can lead to inaccurate appraisals of facts and risks in a given scenario. People can be prone to self-serving reinterpretations of reality, and it is this self-serving reinterpretation which is the cause that leads to the inaccurate appraisal of risks and facts. Now let's look at 3 types of self-serving bias through examples. So there are 3 types that I will look at. So let's say you are playing a football match. So example 1, you are playing a football match. That's you. That's the opponent, and that's the little football. And let's say your team wins. Let's say the final score is 2-0. Your team wins. And because you've won, you take the credit for the win because you put the effort in during the game. You put in a lot of effort during the game. And so the win was down to me. But you fail to recognize the efforts of your other fellow team members, the other players. You also fail to recognize the tactics of the coach, and maybe a crucial save that the goalkeeper made, which ultimately helped you to win the match. So that's one scenario. Now let's say you play another football match again, but this time here's the little football, but this time you lose the match 3-1. And in this situation, in this instance, because you've lost the match, you blame the condition of the pitch, or you blame a call the referee made, which he got wrong, and that affected the outcome of the match. But what you don't suggest for a second is that it was down to your own underperformance in the match which contributed to the loss. So it was never to do with me. That idea doesn't cross your mind. So as it was the condition of the pitch, it was a call the referee made, but it was never to do with me. And so in this example, this type of self-serving bias is called attribution error. Now this is similar to fundamental attribution error, which we looked at briefly in the Hanlon's razor video, which I will link here and in the description. And this is where we said that people underestimate the influence of environment-based situational factors and overestimate the influence of personality-based factors when judging others. So this is here an example of attribution error, which is similar but different to fundamental attribution error. Example 2. Now, you may come across people who tend to think they are better than everyone else. So an example is that they are a better driver than the average car driver, or that they are more intelligent than the average person, and this can sort of go on. And this tendency to hold an unrealistically positive view of themselves, of ourselves, is another type of self-serving bias, which is called illusory superiority. And this emanates from something called self-enhancement motivation, or the motivation for self-enhancement. This self-enhancement motivation is a deep-rooted need to feel positively about ourselves, which gives rise to illusory superiority, and therefore we think we are better than everyone else or most people. And so, simply put, there are people that think that they are better than the average person, and even most people, whatever the skill. Finally, example 3. Now, people have a desire to project a positive image to others. So they have a desire to project a positive image of themselves to others, as they want others to regard themselves highly. So if it was, say, me, I would want someone to regard me highly, and therefore I have a desire to project a positive image. As a result of this, we may overstate our abilities, and in extreme cases this can include boasting and flattery. And this type of self-serving bias is called self-presentation bias, or impression management. Now, this is something, this is a bias which we can do without realizing. It's sort of subconscious. We're not consciously doing it, and we don't realize that we are doing it when it happens. But as you can imagine, this is very common in social settings and social interactions. And so, again, simply put, we've got three examples here of three different types of self-serving bias. But simply put, biases which tend to give people inflated perceptions of themselves are collectively known as self-serving biases. So, how do we overcome this bias? Well, there are 7 things, there are 7 techniques. Number 1, avoid blaming external factors solely because something didn't go correctly or ended in failure. Number 2, going back to sort of example 1 a little bit, give positive praise and credit where credit is due to other people. Recognize their contributions. Number 3, I'm going to call this holistic view. So examine situations holistically. This way you can better understand the factors for success or failure in a given situation, which is quite important. So to stand back and see the full scenario before leaping into it. Number 4, evaluation. Similar to point 3, but judge all aspects of an outcome in advance. So it's not only to do this, but to do this in advance, even if that means you may take some of the blame or lose some of the credit for good outcomes. So it's about evaluating all the aspects and seeing where people have helped, where you could fail, but it's recognizing that and sort of accepting that almost, but doing that in advance of moving forward with the project or whatever the scenario is. Number 5, self-compassion. So be open with yourself on where you need to improve. That way you'll feel more in control and less of a threat or urge to distance yourself from your errors or the need to overstate your abilities, which is sort of example 3. Number 6, self-awareness. So by building self-awareness, or our self-awareness, we can reduce the feeling of being threatened that comes from owning our flaws. Now, this follows on from the self-compassion point number 5, but it's taking that a little bit further. It's subsequently empowering ourselves to ask for support in the areas where we need it. And it's not necessarily because we have flaws in those areas, but the idea is that we can get the help we need to get, say, a project delivered on time. Remember, it's not a weakness to ask for help if and when you need it. The weakness is not asking for help when needed and then failing. And finally, number 7, journaling. So the question you may have from point number 6 is, how can we build up our self-awareness? The answer is point number 7, journaling. Journaling is a good exercise to build self-awareness and accuracy. So when you catch yourself blaming someone, maybe even yourself, try making a list of factors on both sides. So by that I mean a list for you and a list for others. And then write down underneath that what you could have done differently, and then what you did well, and then list the points. And similar for others, again, list down what they could do differently and what they did which was helpful. So again, list the points down below. So in this way, you are paying attention to all the causal attributions, and this will help you take a more balanced approach. And so these are the 7, I say things, but 7 techniques which can help you overcome self-serving bias or self-serving biases. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one with another cognitive bias video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.